Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Just Saying Football with Jack and Sean. I'm your host, Sean Gannon, alongside my partner, Jack and Nicholas. We're here to bring you news, notes, weekly updates, and game analysis of your favorite teams from around the league. Now, have the chance, go check out our website, justsayingfootball.com. Follow us on Instagram at JustSayingNoGWJS for article and video updates. And don't forget to get us in your ears on Spotify at Just Saying Football. Buddy, still draft season. It's a beautiful time again.
Coming up.
It's coming up soon. We're only about 2 weeks away, roughly. It's going to be the best day. Really looking forward to it. We're here. We're doing my second mock draft 2.0 happening right now. Jack is unaware.
Wait, technically, wouldn't this be your 3.0 now?
Yeah, it would be my 3.0, actually.
3.0, yeah.
3.0 mock draft here.
It's coming by fast.
Only a few. There's going to be some minor changes, maybe.
Sure.
We're going to open up in this 3.0 to trades if we have them. Hint, hint. Potentially something going on there. But why don't we jump right into it? Again, Jack does not know what I'm doing here, minus maybe the first handful of picks. Okay. Well, first on the board, it's not changing. It's not going anywhere, minus anything crazy in the next 2 weeks. Bears are locking in with Caleb Williams. Beautiful. Everybody loves it.
Love it.
Now, part of me wanted to change this originally. We're not going to make the change. We're still going to lock in Jaden Daniels at number 2, going to Washington. 2 quarterbacks are off the board. Now we're back into New England. Interesting again. Seen some rumors of a trade potentially with the Vikings. It's not going to happen because they also need to get their quarterback. They can't afford to go back. We're locking in JJ McCarthy.
Oh.
All right. So we got 3 picks, still the same. Cardinals could trade, but they're not going to because they got Marvin Harrison sitting right there. You
take
don't
the
pass
best guy available
on one of the best wide receivers in this draft. Now we're sitting here at 5. What are we going to do at 5? We're going to get the best guy available, which is Brock Bowers, a tight end, pass catcher, and can block. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. There are no changes here through the first 6 because Malik Neighbors falls perfectly to the Giants at number 6. Now this is where it gets interesting. I believe that the Titans. Where's the trade button? Here we go. I believe that the Titans are going to go ahead and they're going to call up, or not the Titans. I believe that the Jets are going to call up the Titans and they're going to say, hey, I want to execute a trade. I'm going to give you the 10th overall pick, and I'm going to swing you that 3rd rounder in exchange for your 1st and that 5th, just that way they get a little bit of compensation.
Yeah.
Back. So the Jets won't now be drafting until the 4th round, but they're going to move all the way up to 7th. The trade goes through. Boom, we got the Jets here at 7 on draft day. Whoa. What's going on? You know why they do this? Because they're worried a little bit about Chicago, and they don't want to miss on Romeo Doubs sitting right there at number 7. They lock in their wide receiver of the future. The first trade has happened. Tennessee gets back to 10th and gets some compensation. And now here we are. We're back in Atlanta now. I had them going Dallas Turner originally, and I think that is very much so still in the cards for them.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm going to make a slight change here at number 8, and we're going to go with his mate on defense, on Arnold. The reason why I think that the Atlanta Falcons right now, they know that they have a solid defense. They could easily opt for pass rush, but I think that they want to have the best secondary duo that they can possibly have, similar to what the Jets have, and then they'll slowly build that front out throughout the rest of the draft. Trop Robinson could easily fall to the 2nd round. We've seen some guys kind of on the fringe here.
Yeah,
a great 2nd round pick, a day 2, day 3 guy that you're getting for a steal that's going to be a day 1 starter for you.
That's fantastic.
Boom. Now Terron Arnold going. Now we have Chicago on the board. Now I originally had them getting Romeo, but now he's going to be gone, sadly, for them. Or Terron Arnold, so he's going to be gone. So this is going to be a tough one for them. I think that they're going to end up going Quinyon Mitchell here. They're going to go a little bit early. They're going to get a secondary guy. They're going to help out what they need. They could also go Dallas Turner. Maybe I should have gone there. Looking back at it right now, they did need an edge guy.
Yeah.
With Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and Justin Jefferson on the Vikings, the way that Jordan Love hit his pass catchers last year, and with the way that this Detroit Lions offense played, which was absolutely electric, they got to get some guys that are going to be able to cover them. You
I
can't just
agree.
have Julio Johnson out there doing it all. All right.
Yeah.
Tennessee at 10. They said, great. We're sitting here. Everything is fine because we still get our guy Joe Alt at number 10 to
Oh,
stir up this offensive line. It wasn't a worry for them. They were not worried about the teams in front of them opting for him. They get their guy. They get some protection for Tony Pollard and Will Levis.
dang. Yeah, I got to say, it's interesting, too. In the first 10, you only have one O lineman go, and it is one of the stronger draft groups. But as you can see, everybody's trying to get their weapons while they got it.
Yep, you can't sleep on getting these weapons early, and I feel like it's going to happen more and more. All right, we know the Vikings' needs, and the big one is quarterback. My opinion of it hasn't changed. Drake May is sitting there, and it could be the surprise of the draft if he's sitting there at 11 and they go for it. But I think they're going to opt for Michael Penix Jr., and the reason being is that they worked him out. They had him throw for over 100 passes in private workouts. The entire staff was there. I think that they're really leaning into this guy based on what he's able to do with accuracy. Kevin O'Connell said that on the Pat McAfee show. That he didn't hint at him, but accuracy, everyone kind of talks about that's kind of Michael Penix's area.
Yeah.
So I like that for them. All right, we got the Denver Broncos.
Love that.
Things aren't changing for the Broncos. They don't need to worry. They got Drake May. It's perfect for them. It falls in their lap. Sean Payton gets his guy. It's going to be very similar, I think, to what they had out of Drew Brees. Now, this is where things kind of get a little bit interesting. There's a lot of moves here that I think the Vegas Raiders could do undrafted. They could have already traded up, could have gotten a quarterback. They would have seen Drake May there. Maybe they would have executed a trade. I don't have them doing that in this one. Could have maybe wanted to go wide receiver if they could have a little bit early. Brian Thomas is sitting right there, and it is tempting. But for me, I got to get Mashanu, sorry for mispronouncing that, most likely out of Penn State. They're going to shore up that offensive line, help out Gardner Minshew or potentially Aiden O'Connell, depending on where they want to go, and then allow them to be able to pass to Devontae Adams. Now, if you're New Orleans and you're sitting in this draft, you got to be super happy. And the only reason why is because I originally had them going Jared Verse, which is a great player out of FSU, and he's going to be fantastic in the NFL. But you know who is still on this board right now is Dallas Turner, and he is going to fall no farther than 14 in my draft.
I agree.
Arguably, he is a for sure top 10 pick in terms of talent, but he falls beautifully right there. They get. I
love that.
Once Cam Jordan leaves, they're super happy. They are ecstatic. All right, we got the Colts on the board. Last draft, I had them going Brian Thomas Jr. I had them reaching a little bit early, and it's super tempting. Would have been great if for some reason Brock Bowers was still here. They could easily go tight end right there.
Yeah.
They need some help in the secondary. And Cooper DeJean is sitting right there as a Midwestern guy, but he's coming off that injury. And I think that they're a little hesitant despite the great pro day that he put together.
Yeah.
And they're going to end up going Nate Wiggins here. They're going to shore up that secondary, get a solid guy on the cornerback. He went much later, or not much later, but a little bit later in my draft. I think I had him going to Jacksonville just a few picks later. We have Seattle on the board. I've done this a few times in this draft.
Yeah.
And it's very possible, you know. I love Jackson Powers Johnson, but they do have Troy sitting right there, but we're not going to opt for that. We are going to go Jackson Powers Johnson.
Jackson.
We are going to show up that interior offensive line. You got to help Kenneth Walker out when you run up the middle. You got to help out Geno Smith. You got to show up the interior offensive line. It is possible they opt for the offensive tackle, but for me, I just find it a little bit difficult. In this one, I think the big concern for me looking at that team is really the guard and center positions.
I agree, and they can go a little bit of anywhere. You know, like you said, this is the time where the teams can go a little bit of anywhere. But that's the top player at his position, so you got to go for it for sure.
They shored up their defense last year with Devin Witherspoon. Had a great rookie season, although a lot of people slept on your guy Deonte Banks last year because of that.
Truly.
Just saying, run back the tape, boys. That's all I got to tell you. All right. Now we're sitting here. It's Jacksonville. We've seen time and time again that they have been struggling, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And they get a guy that knows Florida and knows Florida well. They get Jared Verse out of Florida State. They get an edge rusher. They just signed Josh Allen to a huge 5-year extension with $88 million guaranteed. You got to get him a guy on the other side to help him out because he did all the work for them last year defensively, and it fell apart for them. There is potential for them to go cornerback right there. I do want that to be known. Just something to also keep in mind.
I love that pick.
Cincinnati is an interesting one. I had them going Brian Murphy the first time, shoring up that defensive line, helping out Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard. But there's been no movement in contract conversation with Nate Wiggins, with T. Higgins. And so
another Clemson guy.
And if they don't, and I imagine there could be a draft day trade with Higgins. We've seen it before with Diggs. We were just talking about a little bit ago with AJ Brown a little bit ago. I'd throw Brandon Ayuk. Maybe both those teams can meet in the middle. Say, hey, you take Brandon, you take T. We're all happy. But I think for this case scenario, we're going to assume that doesn't happen. We're going to get Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU. He knows Jamar Chase really well. The LSU wide receivers have been killing it every single year, every time that they step into the league. I think Brian Thomas Jr. will fit in well to this offense against Joe Burrow, stuff like that. If there was a really great running back in this draft, I also would like to say that the Bengals could be on there. They signed Zach Moss to a moderate 2-year deal where they won't need to give him, which will give them some flexibility to draft a guy, potentially Blake Corum later. But if there was like a Bijan kind of player almost, maybe like slightly less talented,
they could target Braylon Allen from Wisconsin, who's up there, but like you said, it isn't the strongest class. There's not one guy that just stands out. You're like, he's the guy, he could go early for sure. But love that pick of Brian Thomas Jr.
And that's where I think that they opt to go in this year's draft. Sorry, excuse me, everybody. All right, let's move this into the Los Angeles Rams. Stellar offense, but they need some help on the defensive side. You know why? Because Aaron Donald is no longer in town, and there's a slew of great players here. Byron Murphy's sitting there. Jerizahan Newton is sitting right there. Latu sitting right there. I think ultimately what they're going to end up doing is they're going to end up going edge rush. They're going to get Latu out of
keep them
UCLA.
Local.
Keep them local. The big reason why is they have Turner last year, did really well. I put him in as a potential defensive rookie of the year. If you watch it, he had about 8.5 sacks, did really well. Putting a rookie into that defensive line position to fill the hole of Aaron Donald is not something that's easily done. I think it puts a lot of extra pressure on a young interior defensive lineman too early on in their career. So I think that they just opt to go edge and help them out there instead.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great opportunity too. You can get a guy who gets his hand in the ground, out of the ground. It gives you a little more versatility.
Exactly. And then looking here at the Steelers, they're a wild card to me in this year's draft. If there's a solid playmaker that they like still hovering in that 16, they could trade up. I could see them maybe trading back. I think that they feel really comfortable with their quarterback room. I know many people are like, why would they feel comfortable? You get an experienced veteran and a rookie, or not a rookie, but a young quarterback with potential. It just seems like he kind of needs to just be in a system that might benefit him. So I feel like the Steelers, from an offensive standpoint, feel comfortable outside of maybe getting a playmaker now that Deontay Johnson was traded and they only have George Pickens. So if there's a good wide receiver, I don't think they're going to reach on Adonai Mitchell or get a Ladd McConkey at 20. I think that's going to be a little bit too far for them. But if there is a Brian Thomas Jr. that falls, I expect that to happen. I think for now what they're going to do is they're going to get Fuga out of Oregon State. They're going to help out that offensive line. They did something very similar to Bodrick Jones last year. I think they're going to rely heavily on the run game with Najee Harris now that they have Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. And the best way to make Wilson and Fields feel comfortable, good offensive line. Offensive line is what makes the offense really work. It's what has made the 49ers so successful. The Chiefs, as we saw after their Super Bowl loss, so successful, though they had a great season that year as well. But an offensive line allows your playmakers to make plays and your quarterback to hit on target. So that to me is where they're going to opt to go. And again, with the Dolphins, you gotta protect Tua. You gotta keep him upright because you gotta hit the playmakers. Now it's possible they go defensive line because they have nobody on the defense and Brian Murphy is right there. There's been no contract talks with Tua in terms of an extension. He will not be sitting out of OTAs, which is great news for the Miami fans. But it seems like as quickly as this division became theirs, it's already going to slip away with the way that the Jets have operated this offseason.
Yeah, I agree.
A few key players. just protect him.
Get
I
to
think
go
they're
get
gonna.
Troy.
I think they're going to end up getting Troy here. Possible for JC Latham out of Alabama. You got to just protect Tua. He had like 5 concussions 2 years ago. It was great that he didn't get injured last year, but keep him upright. Make sure you can
Mhm.
actually sign your quarterback to a future deal. Now we got the Eagles on the board. And I think this is where things get very, very interesting. I think that they can make a few moves on the interior offensive line, especially if Justin Powers Johnson is still sitting there and he doesn't go as early as he does. But I think honestly, what they're going to opt for is their secondary. They're going to get Kool-Aid
Nice.
McKinstry. We don't change this one for them. I think that with the way that James Bradbury and Darius Slay and sort of like the conversations that have been happening surrounding how Nick Sirianni has handled the team,
Mhm.
I have a feeling that next year when those contracts expire, and because those are aging veterans that still play at a high caliber, you got to get guys that are going to fill those roles. So you get them
Yeah,
now
I
while you
agree.
can. You get a guy like that. Now, this is great for the Vikings in mind because we need defensive line help. And this is fantastic because Byron Murphy's sitting right there. So we're going to opt for Byron Murphy. We're going to help out our defensive line. He's going to be used a little bit differently, I imagine. We might try to put him more on the edge. We'll see what Brian Flores does, but we definitely need to help out the defensive line now that Daniil Hunter, love you, man. He's not gone. He's just not here with me
He's
on
not
my
going. He's
team,
just on a different team.
and that hurts so bad. You can ask, just for the record, you can ask Jack many years ago when we drafted him. I was talking about him nonstop.
Yeah. Go back
When
on the Just Saying tape and check it. It's
I
there.
I just I just I could not I
Yeah.
cannot say enough things about Daniil Hunter, and he's going to be so good on the Texans next year. Wish him the best of luck. All right, Dallas Cowboys, how are you going to mess up the draft? I don't know. But if you choose to go what I do, you're going to get JC Latham. You're going to help out your offensive line because Tyron Smith is no longer in the building. That is a generational talent at your left tackle position, and he is gone. There's been no conversation about a contract extension with Dak Prescott to this point as well. So that is something to keep in mind, is that it looks like you got to have him for this year, then they might opt for the draft next year. But I think you gotta protect is the name of the game, I think,
Yeah,
ultimately.
I agree.
All
And
right. You gotta say my bad.
I know I was gonna say, and yeah, like you said, Tyron Smith just being a loss, it just seems like that's where they have to go this year.
It's like if you take Trent Williams out of the equation of the 49ers, that offense takes a step back. Tyron Smith out of that equation, they take a step
Same thing.
back. Right?
I
It
agree.
just it just is that kind of talent. All right. Green Bay Packers, you're on the board. You're getting the Midwestern legend himself. Not as legendary as Caitlin Clark, the other Iowa Hawkeye. Well, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna get Cooper DeJean. All right, that
Nice.
doesn't change for me. He had the injury. He didn't get to see the rest of the season. He had a really, really great pro day. I think he's going to
Yeah.
end up still being a first round pick. Could easily go higher than 25 because people sometimes want to risk it, especially when you have such a high ceiling on a guy.
Hmm.
I think for my draft, I want him comfortably sitting right there at 25 with Green Bay, which also
It's a
sucks
great
because he's
fit.
going to be in my division, which I
Yeah,
absolutely hate.
it's gonna be him against Jordan Addison for years now.
It's actually going to be quite frustrating. Okay. Tampa Bay is on the board. They got Godwin. They got Evans, which is the big one. And they got Baker. Their offense looks like it's going to be good. They're going to keep running under Rashad White. They have a really solid offensive line for the most part. I think interior offensive line. The Graham Barton is tempting. If you look at the defensive line, the Jerzahan Newton is also really tempting, along with the Chop Robinson and Darius Robinson. All of these guys I think are playable for the Buccaneers. The one that I'm gonna opt for, though, despite it being a Todd Bowles led team, is interior offensive line. We're gonna get Graham Barton here. You just signed Baker. They just made it to the
Nice.
playoffs. We saw the offensive line really struggle in Detroit when they were on the road. Let's shore that up. This is a playoff team in a weak NFC South division. We'll see what the Falcons can put together. If you watch or you talk to me outside of this, you will know I will say that Kirk Cousins is the epitome of mediocrity. So I only predict like a 9-8 record coming out of them. So
Yeah.
again, like you're looking at a very similar division to last year. So this could be Tampa Bay's chance to just help out their offensive line,
Yeah.
make sure that they're ready for the playoffs. Arizona
Tampa
is
Bay, run it
back,
back.
right?
Yeah, Tampa Bay, run it back. Tampa Bay.
Let's see. I would love to see them win it. I love me some Baker. I thought he was great. All right. Arizona Cardinals are back on the board. They had a great first pick already in Marvin
Mhm.
Harrison Jr. They're really excited about the way that their offense is going to be working now with Gannon over there. Shout out my guy, only
Yeah.
because we share the last name. I think here you're sitting here. I had them originally going Jersey Newton, and that could quite be. I really like Chop Robinson for them. They do need some
Great
edge
pick.
help. You're just gonna get a guy that's just a bona fide sack getter to me. I think you'll have to help teach him a little bit in the run game.
Yeah,
That's easy, and you're getting him, I think, really, really solid at 27. Potential for him to maybe go a little bit earlier, maybe hover around like 23. I think 27 is perfect. All right, Buffalo. Oh, Buffalo. Poor Buffalo. They traded Diggs. Doesn't look good for them in terms of their offensive outlook with who they have currently on their roster.
truly.
You got Khalil Shakir. It's about all I can remember off the top of
Dawson
my head.
Knox.
Yeah, Dawson Knox. You got Dalton Kincaid.
Dalton
Now our list of
Kincaid.
tight ends. I think that here they're going to opt for Lad McConkey out of Georgia. I saw some videos of him running some routes during his pro day. Looks really polished in that regard. I think it's going to be just really helpful for them to have a wide receiver. Don't be surprised if Buffalo trades up to try to snag a pass catcher, especially if the
Definitely.
play. Let's just say there's a slight shift. I have playmakers going early because I think there's just so much talent, especially in the wide receiver room and stuff like that. So you want to get them as early as you can, and these edge rushers especially, that the offensive line end up falling a little bit. But Buffalo's going to have to make a move here. They're sitting here at 28. AFC East is tighter than it looked a year ago.
Yeah.
You got to get some pass catchers on this team. You might need to trade up. You might need to give more than you want to give, honestly, to get one of these guys, even like a Brian Thomas Jr. So
Yeah, I can see them trading up to get him as he falls into the mid-teen
potential
picks.
I would look at the Vikings. They go up 5 picks. The only reason why is because they've made a handful of trades with the Vikings already in the past. Obviously, Diggs for 22 being the big one, but Buffalo is going to be a draft day interesting team. I'm a little
Yeah.
worried about their offense going forward, though. I just want to put that out there.
I think we all should be, especially with the amount of loss they had this year. You could tell Diggs is a huge hole they got to fill.
And I know that he didn't perform the best in the second half of the season. I've seen all those stat lines, but I think that the reality of the situation is that his presence on the field is enough, regardless of the stats are there, because you have to respect what a player like him can do. So
it's true.
It allows other guys to make it. Gabe Davis isn't. It's just I don't know. I'm sorry, Buffalo. Trade Josh Allen to the Vikings. Take our 11th and 23rd.
Yeah, why not?
Oh, who said that? All right. Anyway, we have Detroit here at 28, and it's or 29. Then they have a few needs on the defensive line. Jersey Newton sitting right there. And I
could be perfect.
In Illinois to Michigan is not far. Their defensive line is really solid. But I've talked about in this division, there's so many good playmakers on teams. DJ Moore, Justin Jefferson. Sorry, Green Bay Packers. You don't have a guy. You just have a quarterback who can hit
maybe
everybody.
Jaden Reed next year if he steps up.
Reed next year. Maybe a Romeo Dobbs next year. All I know is that Love looks legit, and it's pissing me off. I think they're going to opt for cornerback here. They're going to get Aeneas Rakestraw Jr. out of Missouri. They shore up that secondary again. Jersey Newton is just sitting here for all these teams, and I feel really bad. I had him going to 27 originally. He's fallen again in my draft. It's not what you want to see. All right, here we are in Baltimore. They just got Derrick Henry in town. They're really excited with the direction of this offense. I think they just made the AFC Championship game. I think that this team has gotten one step closer to being a Super Bowl contender with Derrick Henry. They do need some cornerback help, but I don't want to reach on Kamari. I think that's going to be a little bit too early. There aren't an edge rusher. I mean, Darius Robinson is fringe right now. He could be up there. But to me, I'm looking at this, and I love Amarius Mims is sitting right there for me. And you're telling me I can help out my offensive line, help out Lamar Jackson, help out Derrick Henry.
Which is still impossible that they have.
All right. You're telling me I get to do that with a great Georgia lineman that knows the run game well? Hell yeah, I want him on my team. Now this is where things are getting a little bit interesting. You got Tyler Guyton, Jordan Morganson right there, and the 49ers definitely need offensive line help. You got Zach Frazier. I think that'd be a little bit of a reach. Potential for a playmaker like Adonai Mitchell, considering that Brandon Ayuk leaves. So if Brandon Ayuk is traded, I'm going to opt for wide receiver. But for right now, we're going to go Tyler Guyton. We're going to just help out the offensive
Ooh, great
line,
pick.
help out the tackles. We're going to get the guy out of Oklahoma. He played great.
And you know where Mr. Trent Williams went to school? The University of Oklahoma.
So we get two guys that know. It's great for them. It's great for Brock Purdy. We saw that the offensive line struggled at times in the playoffs. All right. Kansas City is on the board. The defending Super Bowl champions. They just signed Hollywood Brown. Rashee Rice is dealing with off the field, we'll say issues to put it lightly. Yeah, do your research. I don't want to spend too much time talking about it. Do your own research. Come to your own conclusion and that kind of stuff. So for right now, with the way that is going and how they didn't have a ton of pass catchers outside of Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice, now they brought in Hollywood Brown. That's really going to help. I think that they just get speed. Sky Moore has not been what they wanted as the speed guy. Sadly, he's been ground more.
Yeah,
he has been ground more, but he's a two-time Super Bowl champion, like my guy Kadarius Toney. We're gonna get Adonai Mitchell here. He's gonna close out the draft at 32. Broke the record at the combine. And he's living quite well. So that's it. Only one trade in this draft. For me, again, I think I told everybody where I think other trades can happen. You're looking at Minnesota, Denver, and the Raiders, obviously, sitting right there at that 11, 12, 13, all teams that need a quarterback. There's been rumors that the Jets want to trade back. In this one, I think they're worried they end up just getting a playmaker. They're all in on the Aaron Rodgers experiment for the next 2 years. You get them young, you get them all there. You can still, that kind of stuff. So you do that. And then
Dallas Turner at 14, I will say, is my favorite pick, though, in the top 15.
It is disrespectful to you, Dallas Turner, and I want to put that on record. You are a top 10 talent, my friend.
We still want to be boys.
Yes, you should not fall. But if you do, because of just positional needs,
we just want to make sure you go to the right place.
And New Orleans would love to have you. I can promise you that. And again, as we get into this back end of the draft, I think potential. I think Dallas could maybe trade. I think Steelers could trade. Steelers back more than forward, unless for some reason one of these wide receivers, I don't think it's going to happen unless like Brian Thomas Jr. sitting a little bit closer.
Yeah, people like you said, Buffalo is definitely in contention. I think in the last 12 to like just move up into that middle pack, which could be dangerous.
That's what I think. That's what I think. But that is my draft. That's my 3.0. We got one trade. Jets and Titans. Titans are happy about it. Jets are happy about it. They both get their guys.
Yeah, dude, this is an awesome draft. I got to say, I think everybody, especially in the top 10, kind of fits exactly where they should. But there's so many guys that could still move their way up in there. But yeah, I got to say, I love this draft. Looking at it right here,
it's gonna be fun. Draft day is gonna be good. We'll have some content out for you guys on draft day, so keep in mind. Hopefully some reactions, especially for the Giants and the Vikings.
We know what's coming there. me and Sean, we're either going to be happy or we're going to be upset. But that's why we do these little things. So it's so much easier. Makes everybody's mind at ease when you make a good mock draft like this, I'll tell you.
Exactly. And I think I put on record once. I'll just put on record one more time. I'm not a J.J. McCarthy lover the way other fans are, and that will be the one that I think upsets me the most, is that if we trade up for McCarthy. I think if anything, we just got to sit and let a quarterback fall to us. All right, that's it. That's all the time that we have. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Hope you enjoyed the Mock Draft 3.0. Let us know what you guys think in any comment sections and whatnot.
Yeah, thanks for always watching Just Saying Football. Always make sure to get us in your ears on Spotify, Just Saying Football, and Just Saying with no G, WJS. On Instagram, get all your updates for when we post our content, especially now during draft season. Thanks for watching.
Enjoy.